is, since you came late, you start by apologizing for being late. You don't just go straight to asking a question once.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for reminding me to apologize for coming late.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, my constituency is near Nairobi, so I was in the constituency serving the great people of Githunguri, and I'm sorry, next time I'll be here on time. So I arise to ask question 179 of 2021 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning. Question 1, could the Cabinet Secretary consider facilitating the transfer of land reference number 16217/87/6 to one David Kariuki Kuria of ID number 84333183, the buyer, from Mr. Michael Shaw, the seller, following successful dismissal of a caveat on the land under civil suit number 435 of 2006, filed at the High Court in Nairobi. By using the certified copies of the proceedings in order to bring to close this unfortunate matter that has seen Mr. Kuria suffer immensely, as he is not able to utilize the land despite having fully paid for it in 2004. 2, what measures has the ministry put in place to resolve such matters involving land in the country? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, that question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Lands. Yes, Honorable Omlele, what's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, with a lot of respect to my senior and my very good friend, the Honorable Dwale, I'm wondering whether he's appropriately dressed to be in the House.
Well, I think the Honorable Omlele may have noticed the Honorable Dwale having not buttoned up to. Yeah, I think you noticed that the neck was out, is it? So the Honorable Dwale, when you put on that attire, make sure that you cover the neck. You know, you sit next to great people here. They shouldn't see your neck. Next segment. No, sorry. For the second time, the last question by the member for Dagoretti South, for the second time, before we drop it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I'm rising to ask a question to the Cabinet Secretary.
It's never done that way.
Yes?
I mean, you can't. I'm saying for the second time. I'm calling the question for the second time. So surely it means the first time you are not here. The first thing you do is, first of all, to apologize to the House for coming late, because the House sits at 2:30. And you know, honourable members, and I want to also encourage chairs of committees. If you appoint a sitting time to be 10 a.m. or 9:30, let the chairperson be there at 10 a.m. or 9:30. If you don't realize quorum, after 30 minutes, adjourn the meeting. Adjourn the meeting. There's no need of keeping witnesses waiting. Because it cannot be true. The committees are supposed to be a microcosm of the plenary. We sit here at 2:30. When you have to sit in the morning at 9:30, without fail. So, and the speaker is always there on the chair. It's the bell that is rung to tell members that we don't have quorum. So it cannot be the opposite in committees. That the chairmen are told, please don't come, chair, we are waiting for quorum to form. No. Be there. If there's no quorum, just adjourn the meeting. And that way we will know which members are serious, who want to be present in committees. So that we can encourage the leaders of majority and the whips to throw those who don't want to attend, let them be taken out. They can go and do other things, I'm sure. Because committees are suffering a lot because of this thing of lack of quorum and not sitting in good time. And we are receiving a lot of complaints from witnesses who come and they wait for 1 hour, 1.5 hours before committees form quorum. And I mean, the membership is so high. I don't know why it is that, it does not give a very good picture of the committee or even the entire institution of Parliament. Honorable Kiari, yes, you have come now.
Honorable Speaker, I do profusely apologize. It is not in my character to be late. In fact, I am known for being very punctual, and I do appreciate the magnanimity from your chair to allow me to ask this question.
Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, my question is directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Coordination. And my question, Mr. Speaker, is, A, could the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Coordination provide the full information of the number of all the Kenyan citizens who have registered for the Huduma number? And B, Mr. Speaker, what measures has this ministry taken to ensure that all the citizens who applied for this Huduma number can collect their Huduma number cards at the stations where they applied these Huduma number cards, and not from other far-flung stations where they are being sent to collect these cards? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security. Honorable Ben Jomo Washiali, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand on point of order 42 C4 in terms of responses to these questions, Mr. Speaker, especially where there is a supplementary question. Honorable Speaker, you find that with this current situation of COVID, where responses are supposed to be given online or in a virtual meeting, you find that members who have supplementary questions will not have an opportunity to ask those questions, Honorable Speaker. Like, for example, the question raised by Honorable Soti about capitation is a question that I would have also wished to know about the capitation in Kakamega. But because of these virtual meetings, Honorable Speaker, it's not possible that supplementary questions could be responded to. And that's why you will see many questions that are similar in nature repeatedly being asked on this floor. Would I be in order, Honorable Speaker, to request you or to ask the Office of the Clerk that whenever we have such a responses, it's put on a platform that we can all read so that we can participate in the meeting when they are responding to such a question, so that we don't have to come back to this house, to this floor, to ask similar questions. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You know, every Thursday, the leader of the majority party reads out the business that is going to be transacted the following week, both in the plenary and in either committee of the whole house or respective committees, especially with regard to answers to be given by cabinet secretaries. So if you took that, if every member listened, it's unfortunate that most members don't listen when the leader is reading out those businesses. That the coming week, the cabinet secretary for this and this and this will be appearing before committee A, B, C, and that either the same day, another cabinet secretary will be appearing before another committee to respond to questions. So I don't think whether there is any need of any other platform safe to put the statement by the leader of majority every Thursday under Standing Order 44 on the normal website, parliamentary website, so that those that are sufficiently literate can look at the website and see what business is coming the next week. So even if it is virtual, any member who is keen will then be at liberty to appear before that committee and request the chair of the committee to allow them to lodge supplementary questions to whomever it is, either cabinet secretary or any other such functionary that may be responding to the questions. So it's just a question of members paying attention. The only other thing that we need to do is put that statement by the leader majority either on the Bunge information or on the parliamentary website, so that everybody, members of parliament, and indeed even the public, is aware that this is the business to be transacted. Very well. Next segment is requests. The first request is by the Honorable Godfrey Osotsi.
The Honorable Speaker.
Sorry, before you proceed, Honorable Osotsi, the member for Malava, you have an intervention. What's the issue? Sorry.
Thank you. I sought a statement in May, 13th of May, from the chairperson of Education Committee and the the chair of Education Committee.
Which one?
I sought a statement.
Education.
Education, yes. The vice chair who was on the floor that day informed us that would get the response in 2 weeks' time. Mr. Speaker, now this is the 5th week. This statement was to do with the admission in our primary teacher colleges, whose admission was very low, only 500 students to the 34 colleges. So I'm just wondering, Mr. Speaker, when will this come?
That's an important issue, Honorable Malulu Ijendi. Where is the vice chair of Committee on Education? The Honorable Ngujiri Wambugu? Or indeed the chairperson, Honorable Florence Mutua? I think, honour members, I will encourage members also to consider, rather than coming to raise complaints, prefer a motion to censure a chairperson who neglects to respond to questions. Because I can see now, the chairperson is not there, the vice chair is not there. I mean, we can't just keep referring everything to the leader majority. Because it is dereliction of duty. And I think I want to encourage members that yes, you will be perfectly in order. And you bring the motion, I will approve it. Because chairpersons cannot both a chairperson and a vice chair, they can't all go missing. It's not right. This is wrong. Honorable Junet, what do you want to say?
Mr. Speaker, the chair lady for the Education Committee had issues with the Budget Committee. There were some figures she was reconciling, Mr. Speaker. So I seek your indulgence, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure that's what caught up with her. The vice is loitering in town, maybe. But I'm just speaking about the chair. He's loitering in town, maybe. I don't know.
I'm sure you may not have seen anybody loitering, Honorable Junet. But Honorable Junet, can you? We don't want to give the leader majority this because you already now you assist of where the chair is. Could you tell her to respond to the question, the statement sought by the Honorable Malulu Ijendi? Honorable Member for Mwayo.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is true, like it has been said, the chair had issues with the budget. And there was some thing they needed to harmonize between the ministry and the statement that we had done. And therefore, I also take it upon myself to take the information to her about the question by Honorable. As a member, a seasoned member of that committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And a serious stakeholder in education. Yes, now she has 2 assistants, people to relate. So the Honorable Malulu Jendi, you can now pursue the Honorable Junet and the Honorable Omboko Milemba. No, there's nothing out of order.
Mr. Speaker, I took responsibility because the chair, the vice chair, the chair is from the minority. Now I want to tell her what has transpired in the House. But I've just heard a member of the committee saying he's seasoned. I don't know which season he's talking about because this is his first season in Parliament, Mr. Speaker. Or he's talking about as COPET treasurer, seasoned COPET member, Mr. Speaker. Which season is he talking about? 1 season only. 1 season, Mr. Speaker.
Maybe a serious, no, we will allow it to rest at that, but suffice to say that both yourself, Honorable Omboko Milemba and Honorable Junet, should take up that matter. I think it's not fair that the Honorable Jendi should wait for his response for so long. Honorable Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also seeked a statement on the...
Seeked?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. They have corrected me. So, you know, these people, Honorable Speaker, even Junior is talking about season. This season of chairs being removed and members being removed, if you serve for 3 consecutive years, you are a ranking member and a seasoned member, because most of us have not been able to survive 3 years in a committee. So, Honorable Speaker, I also sought, now that I've been corrected, I also sought a statement on the status of standard gauge railway, which are terminated in a remote area called Murutoto, a shopping center with 1 shop and 1 butchery. So, and it 52 kilometers already. So, Honorable Speaker, it is now being vandalized. So I had sought that statement, and I have not been given an answer by the chairperson. He's my neighbor here, but he have not given me the answer. So will I drain the answer from him by force?
When did you seek the statement?
I sought the statement. Now you are saying, when did you seek it?
Yes,
I sought the statement.
That is grammar.
I sought the statement 4 months ago, Honorable Speaker.
4 months ago?
Yes.
Honorable Kosing, is it true that he sought a statement 4 months ago? That would be February.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, you know me, I'm effective. And I'm seasoned, and I'm ranking. I'm ranking, Honorable Chair, and my records are found also in ICC in Hague as a ranking and a serious member of this House, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I have to confirm whether it was a question or a statement, Speaker, but it was responded, Honorable Speaker, before my committee in his presence. Honorable Chair, that was, Speaker, it was done. Whether he was satisfied or not satisfied, it was up to him. Honorable Speaker, it was responded. I thank you, but I'm ranking.
Were you there?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, and sometimes, Honorable Speaker, some of the honorable members are becoming a bit rude, because if they say it is up to me, it is not up to me, it is up to the people of Narok who are suffering now because the standard gauge railway. So I was there, and I was not satisfied, and I said that I was not satisfied, and I need an answer.
No, that's different. That's different. If you are not satisfied, that's different. What you should have done at that time, if you are not satisfied, you should have requested the chair of the committee to insist on you getting an answer that would satisfy you. But remember, the answer might not satisfy you, but it may satisfy the committee and everybody else. So that will be left to your own bodily feelings. So I'm not too sure whether the answer was, if it was satisfactory to the committee and the members, then the rest would be left to your feelings. So if you're not satisfied, you could ask another one. Now that you are present when the answer was given, now if you coming to raise it here now, is also dishonest. So, Honorable Mwirigi, John Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 44-2C, I requested for the statement, Mr. Speaker, from the chairperson for State Department of Industry, of Trade, Industry and Cooperative regarding the closure of Mira Market at Somalia, Mr. Speaker, and the suspension of all flights to Somali, and the crops, Mr. Speaker, which were turned down at airport, Mr. Speaker. This statement was very crucial for the people of Igembe, Mr. Speaker, and up to now, I have yet to receive the response.
Well, you're saying that you sought a statement from the chairman of the State Department, so I was wondering whether, do we have that one here in this? We don't have. So, unless you sought from the chairman of the Departmental Committee on Trade and Cooperatives.
Chairperson for the Departmental Committee, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Adan Haji. The Honorable Adan Haji has become very rare these days. Is that? Maybe he's pursuing your answer somewhere in the neighboring country. The Honorable Adan Haji, who is his vice chair? Does he have a vice chair? Who is the vice chair of trade? That Ruth Moniki, is she? She is not. She doesn't come these days. I haven't seen her since we reopened. Or maybe she attends the evening sittings. We've been told that there are some members who have become great frequent attendees of the 7 o'clock to 9:30 sittings. Maybe Honorable John Paul Mwirigi, you may have to wait until that time, but for the time being, let the leader of majority take up the matter with the Honorable Haji. Now let me go to the segment on requests. Honorable Sotsi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources regarding an undertaking by the Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Forestry regarding Shiru and Shaviringa Settlement Scheme in Kakamega County but located in Vihiga County, Kakamega Forest but located in Vihiga County, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the Thursday, 11th February 2021, the Cabinet Secretary represented by the CAS undertook to, among other things, convene a meeting of stakeholders with the Ministry and the Kenya Forest Service, which was supposed to include the Governor of Vihiga County and members of Parliament from the county to resolve the matter of Shiru and Shaviringa settlement schemes, which is in Kakamega Forest. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Environment and National Resources to explain the status of the 1 month undertaking that the Cabinet Secretary gave in regards to Shiru and Shaviringa settlement scheme in Kakamega Forest, noting the suffering the residents of the schemes are facing, and whether any steps have been taken to resolve the matter. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want you to give direction, because this seems to be the trend where Cabinet, CAS, they appear before the committees, they make verbal undertakings, and some of those verbal undertakings are never implemented. This is the case that I presented a question before this committee 4 months ago. And the Cabinet Secretary through the CAS made an undertaking that they will appear again before the committee to give a status report. Mr. Speaker, it's now 4 months. I have not received anything from the committee, and I have not heard anything from the ministry. So that is becoming a trend, where CAS particularly give undertakings which they don't implement, Mr. Speaker.
Just to give you some facts, that even in the former dispensation, before 2010, August 27th, the people or officers who used to be referred to as assistant ministers would never sign anything that Parliament would receive. And I do recall, I think, I don't want to mention the member, but the particular member in the 9th Parliament is a member, and I know he is a member in this Parliament now also. When he was Assistant Minister for Health, and he purported to sign an answer on behalf of the minister, then Minister for Health, and now a governor somewhere, governor of Kitui. This some years back. So I know that thing will never be accepted. So too should it be the case today with those people. You are calling them CAS. They have no authority to give an undertaking. In fact, if it is something that where an undertaking is to be given, especially if they are doing it orally, that's now, when they do it orally, that is roadside. It can be, that's the equivalent of a roadside declaration. If it is to be in writing, it must be written, it must be under the signature of the Cabinet Secretary. Because, the Constitution recognizes a Cabinet Secretary or a Principal Secretary. Those others, they can do those other things, go around there to do a few things, including discussing issues about FGM and others. But the thing of giving an undertaking is a serious matter, because, and that's why we have a committee on implementation, so that if a Cabinet Secretary gives an undertaking and it is not done, then our committee on implementation can hold somebody, a substantive office holder, not those others. Now, you notice even our standing orders don't make reference to those people. The standing orders make reference to the Cabinet Secretary and the Principal Secretary. It is deliberate. It is deliberate because, you can't, it's very difficult to know where to place them. They are neither bands, or the mammals, and, you can't quite tell. They are like bats. So, please don't take any undertakings from those ones. No, if it is an undertaking, chairs of committees, Honorable Rachel Nyamai, if it is an undertaking to be given, it must be in writing. If it is being read by any other person, people whom you can go to the Constitution and you will find them. These others, you never know. They could say this today and then the next day they are, because you can't trace them. Where will you trace them? So they can come and talk with you, engage you in, those discussions. But please, if it is an undertaking, Honorable Soti, let it be in writing by a cabinet secretary, if it is being read on their behalf. But if it is the cabinet secretary himself or herself, you see there is a handstand, and you can take the handstand and follow it up. But now even if it was those people, even if you go to the handstand, now you can't quite. Would you follow? Our standing orders will they will look around and they will not see them. Yes, Honorable Sotsi.
Mr. Speaker, the undertaking was in writing and emphasized verbally by the cabinet, by the CAS, signed by the cabinet secretary.
Then take it up with the committee on implementation. You don't have to lament. If it is in writing by a cabinet secretary, take up the matter with our committee on implementation, so that the cabinet secretary can be. Are you a member there? Oh, you are the vice chair even. Then you are sitting on your rights. Honorable Sotsi, you have the wherewithal within the standing orders. Yes?
Mr. Speaker, the matter is still very active within the Environment Committee. So, because he was supposed to come back after 1 month, give a program of action, and then the committee will take action. So the matter is still very active within the Environmental Committee for it to be handled by the Implementation Committee. That is why the statement is directed to the same committee.
Well, where is the chair, Honorable Kareke Biuki? The vice chair, Honorable Sophia Abdi? – 7 p.m. Going to be very well. A leader majority will take up the matter and pass it on to them. But on the day that the cabinet secretary is appearing, Honorable Sotsi, you should also appear before the committee to get the response. Yeah. The next request is by the member for Mvita, Honorable Abdulswamad.
Asante sana. Bwana Spika, kupitia sheria za kudumu nambari 44(2) cha nainuka kidete, Bwana Spika, kuulizia jawabu kutoka kwa mwenyekiti wa kamati husika ya usafiri kuhusu makubaliano ya pamoja yanayogusa mishahara na marupurupu almaruf Collective Bargaining Agreement CBA kati ya halmashauri ya bandari ya Kenya Ports Authority na wafanyikazi wake ya mwaka wa 2020 na 2021, na pia vile kuregeshwa kazini wafanyikazi 247. Bwana Spika, kwa miaka kumekuwa na mivutano na mitihani ambayo imesababisha kutowekwa sahihi hii CBA ya zaidi ya wafanyikazi 5,000 wa bandari ya Kenya, na maridhiano yalikuwa yawe tangu Novemba mwaka 2019, Bwana Spika. Lakini maridhiano haya yakakubalika hadi Januari mwaka 2020. Bwana Spika, yatia wasiwasi ya kwa tangu Januari mwaka 2020 mpaka hii leo mishahara haya ambayo yaliweza kukubaliana na kuridhiana pamoja hayajalipwa, na kuna haja, Bwana Spika, ya kuanza mazungumzo ya maridhiano ya mwaka 2022 na 23 ambayo kisheria yanafaa kuanza Oktoba mwaka huu wa 2021, pamoja vile Bwana Spika kuregeshwa kazini wale wafanyakazi 247. Bwana Spika, kupitia haya natafuta suluhisho kupitia kwa mwenyekiti husika. Kwanza waweze kutuelezea ni mitihani gani ambayo yapo hadi hii CBA hadi leo haijatekelezwa. Pili, mikakati gani wizara imeweza kuweka kuhusu CBA ama maridhiano ya mwaka 2022 na 2023 yanaofaa kuanza mwaka huu, na hadi leo yale ya mwaka 2019-20 hayajaweza kutekelezwa. Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, mwenyekiti pia tunaomba atoe hakikisho ya kwa wizara husika itahakikisha mishahara ya hawa wafanyikazi wana Mombasa na Wakenya kwa jumla zaidi ya 5,000 yaanze siku ya Januari mwaka 2020 kama vile ilivyo ni haki yao ya kuweza kulipwa mishahara haya tangu Januari mwaka 2020, na uhakikisho ya kwa wale wafanyikazi waliofutwa 247 Bwana Spika mwaka 2021 mwaka 2011 waweze kurejeshwa. Asante sana Bwana Spika. Mimi ni kwa niaba ya wanamvita na Mombasa Abdulswamad Sharif Nasir.
Chair Departmental Committee on Transport, Honorable Kosing.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence. I'm not very certain that this will be in my committee, because I listened very carefully, although it was in Kiswahili. I understand Kiswahili fairly well. I used to be in Tanzania at some stage. But, Honorable Speaker, the issue is not about KPA, but about labor issues and employment issues, Honorable Speaker. And I think that should be the Committee of Labor and Social Relations, Honorable Speaker, rather than myself as transport, because the issue is not about KPA, it's about the rights of the welfare of the staff, Honorable Speaker. I want to seek your guidance, Speaker, before I respond.
Honorable Abdulswamad, the gist of your statement is about collective bargaining agreement and the rights thereunder.
Mr. Speaker, with your guidance, whether I can now be able to put my case forward in English, if you will allow me to do so, and I may continue in Kiswahili, but for purposes of being able to understand with my co-chairs, Mr. Speaker.
No, he's asking, his point is, the issues you've raised are to do with the collective bargaining agreement, and some people who've been, according to you, dismissed, and that those appear to be labor matters more than transport.
Mr. Speaker,
but you know, it's your choice.
I stand to be guided, Mr. Speaker, but however, the gist of the matter lies with the Kenya Ports Authority itself, because they had already agreed. They had already collectively agreed on these matters.
But
however, with your guidance...
Nevertheless, even if it's KPA, you know, it is a labor issue.
With your guidance... With your guidance, Mr. Speaker, we will accept that it goes to labor, as long as we just have a solution to these matters.
No, the Labor Committee can summon before it KPA. It doesn't matter whether it is KPA. You know, the issue is the substance is the labor issues. It is not about the institution, because if we can have labor issues even with the Ministry of Transport, but it will not be the Committee of Transport. The relevant committee to deal with this issue, I think, is Committee of Labor and Social Protection. And the chairman is, I can see, is enjoying when you are misdirecting your issues to Honorable Kosing, and so he will say hallelujah, because it will go to the Honorable Kosing, and he will come and say, well, we don't deal with labor issues, and he will come and report here. Yet, you know, if it went to the Honorable Kabinga, he would deal with the matter, I'm sure, appropriately. So I would suggest that you redirect the statement to the Departmental Committee on Labor.
Very much obliged, Mr. Speaker, and we will be liaising with the Labour Committee, and thank you for your guidance.
How soon do you think, Honorable Kabinga, you would be able to respond?
Thank you, Chair. Actually, I was listening to him very keenly, and I was wondering whether he really meant to go to transport. However, this seems to be a long-standing issue that needs some time, Honorable Speaker, and if the member is agreeable, we can do this in 3 to 4 weeks so that we can go deeper. I've listened to him keenly. This is not a new, this is an intensive kind of a case that has been there for some time, Honorable Speaker. It's not a case that we can dispense in a week or two. We really require to go deeper into it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And also, so much.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think once he starts integrating the matter, it's very, very clear and straightforward. It's just that some people insist on doing other things. I'm confident knowing the committee's capability, they can be able to give us a response in earlier than the 3 weeks. So the earlier the better, but thank you very much.
Very well. Next request is by the member for Kilifi North, Honorable Owen Bayer.
Sir. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to read request for statement on causes and remedy of mass failure of students in KCSE 2021 in Kilifi County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request a statement from the Chairperson Departmental Committee on Education and Research regarding causes and remedy of mass failure of students in KCSE 2021 in Kilifi County. Honorable Speaker, during the 2021 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education results, Kilifi County registered a total of 15,473 students who sat for the said examination, and out of which 7,268 were girls and 8,172 were boys. In general, students who did examination in private schools were 2,387, and those in public were 13,086, while 72 did not sit for the examination. Statistics show that students from Kilifi County performed dismally, with majority of them, that is 70%, scoring D+ and below, and with no single A playing. Honorable Speaker, the mass failure of students in the county is worrying and is attributable to a system with low internal efficiency and which does not guarantee the production of quality human resource, thus occasioning wastage of national resources. Honorable Speaker, it is on account of this concern that I seek your indulgence to order an inquiry by the Departmental Committee on Education and Research on the following. 1, the reasons for mass failure in examinations in the county with regard to how the education system is managed, teacher distribution, and the correlation between subject performance and the number of teachers deployed by the Teacher Service Commission, and their experiences and the deficits thereof. 2, learning materials availability, especially in sciences in schools, and general preparedness of the school system to produce quality grades. 3, quality of teachers, qualifications, work plans, and implementation of supervision and inspection by the county education officers in every sub-county in Kilifi County. And finally, the adequacy of facilities such as vehicles, offices, and other facilitative equipment and human resource in the county and sub-county education offices in the county. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the chair and the vice chair still are at large. I don't know whether this time you'll ask Junet again.
Now we'll ask the Honorable John Bandi to read the message so that there is a sharing of responsibility. The Honorable Kimunya is having to chase every 2 minutes other issues. Honorable John Bandi, the chairperson, we were told earlier by the Honorable Junet that she is having some issues reconciling some figures in the budget of the ministry. Maybe you could undertake to...
Yeah, actually, Mr. Speaker, you're right. That's correct information. the chair is engaged in trying to have the budget figures balanced. But then this message will reach the chair. The questioner almost confused me when he was asking the chair to order for inquiry. So I was wondering whether he was seeking Speaker's ruling or seeking for a statement from the committee. But be that as it may, I think he concluded by seeking for a statement. So the message will be passed to the chair of the Education Committee, and she will give an indication as to when the matter can be concluded. Thank you.
Very well. The last request is by the member of Voi, the Honorable Jonas Mulolwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request for statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources on the escalating cases of human-wildlife conflicts in Voi constituency. Honorable Speaker, in the last 2 months of May and June, a number of human-wildlife conflict cases have been reported in Voi constituency, Taita Taveta County. The cases arise as a result of marauding elephants from Savo East and Savo West National Parks, invading Bololo and Golia locations, as well as Kasigao, Miasenyi, Marungu, and Luasagala, causing injuries and loss of lives to the people, destroying crops and properties, thus affecting community livelihood. In some cases, these elephants have also imposed curfew to the villages. Honorable Speaker, the government, through the Ministry of Wildlife and other related agencies, has not addressed this challenge comprehensively. And it is against this background that I seek a statement from the committee of Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources on the following. 1, what measures are being taken to bring these human-wildlife conflicts in Voi constituency, particularly in Bololo and Golia locations, as well as Kasigao, Miasenyi, Marungu, and Luasagala areas to an end? Number 2, what measures are being taken to compensate the families affected by this human-wildlife conflict in Voi constituency? Number 3, could the ministry consider compensating victims of the said human-wildlife conflict, which has been pending for the last 5 years, despite claims having been made, and when will this happen? I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this human-wildlife conflict has been addressed. So many members of parliament, even from different counties, have been asking this question. But we are not seeing anything tangible. I think the last one was asked by Honorable Jess Kambalu, who is my neighbor in Titwandei. And we are not seeing any action from the Ministry or the Kenya Wildlife Services. People's properties, everything green in the villages has been destroyed by elephants. In fact, nowadays they do not want water from the water points. They are drinking water from people's water tanks outside the houses. So it's a serious matter, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Mwadime,
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa kweli hili tatizo limeenea pembe zote za Taita Taveta. Hivi sasa wa leo hii asubuhi kule sehemu za Mwatate katikati ya Taita Taveta, sehemu za Kigombo mali kunaitwa Mwanga na mahali pia kunaitwa Kituma. Ndovu mamia na mamia mandovu yalikuwa huko asubuhi, hata watoto kuelekea mashuleni asubuhi ilikuwa ni vigumu. Na hili tatizo tumekuwa tukilizungumza kwa muda. Na sijui tutafanyaje mpaka hili tatizo litatuliwe, manake sehemu jimbo la Taita Taveta limezingirwa na Savo West na Savo East. Na matatizo yamekuwa mengi sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, naomba mwenyekiti wa kamati inayohusika waingilie kati. Kuna huo tuliomba kitambo kutoka kule Mgeno
lipitie Sagala pale Buhuta mpaka Kasigau, likitengenezwa lile ua litasaidia kwa ukubwa sana. Naomba tafadhali msaidie hawa wananchi, ni wa Kenya pia. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Endeleeni kuomba
na tutaomba sana
kabisa kabisa. Mwenyekiti wa kamati husika, naibu wake wote wawili hawako. The question the statement will be referred to the chairman of the committee through the office of the leader majority. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Consideration of the budget estimates for the financial year 2021-2022. Mover to reply.
Mover.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. As I move to reply, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank all members, Honorable Speaker, who contributed in the general debate, Honorable Speaker, of the budget. I was here, Honorable Speaker, for the entire 3 days of debate, and we had very insightful contribution from members, others with reservations, Honorable Speaker, others with amendments, Honorable Speaker, and Mr. Speaker, we have taken those into consideration. Honorable Speaker, the ones that can be implemented when the budget is being implemented, Honorable Speaker, we will make sure that one is done. The ones that might not be accommodated in this financial year, in the next financial year's budget, Honorable Speaker, we will make sure that, Mr. Speaker, they will be considered in the next financial year budget. Honorable Speaker, it should not be lost on members that we still have another budget that we will preside over, Honorable Speaker, the budget of 2022-2023. Honorable Speaker, and I know I have no doubt in my mind that most of the members will still be members of Parliament, the 13th Parliament, save for a few who have decided to either go to the upper house, to the other house, or the others like John Buddy, who might decide to be governors. So, Honorable Speaker, we will make sure, Honorable Speaker, that those issues are considered because, of course, we have a budget ahead of us. Honorable Speaker, quite a number of issues were raised, and mostly issues around the pending bills. Honorable Speaker, every other day, every other report that we table here, Honorable Speaker, the departmental committees are raising these issues every other day. And I remember when the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasurer, was here, he directed that all ministries, all county governments to pay pending bills. But, Honorable Speaker, we need to have firm actions on that, Honorable Speaker, because sometimes when Treasury is also giving directives, they are also not giving provision for that funds so that monies can be paid in regard to pending bills. Honorable Speaker, the other issue is on stalled buildings. Honorable Speaker, there is one that all the time keeps coming in our books, the Mitihani House, the Kiridi House, and also our building, Honorable Speaker, here. We are going to make sure, Honorable Speaker, as a Budget and Appropriations Committee, we will make sure that enough funds are appropriated to make sure that those are completed. Honorable Speaker, as I reply, Honorable Speaker, because of the concerns that we have had from members, because of the various contributions that we have had from members, because budget making is a process, is a negotiated document. Every other day we are negotiating. Even up to this point, there were negotiations going on. So as I second, I want also to give notice that during the Committee of Supply, as I reply, Honorable Speaker, during the Committee of Supply, we will be proposing some amendments in the second schedule, Honorable Speaker, and during that time, Honorable Speaker, I will be able to give the details. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to reply.
Honourable members, I want to ask the Sergeant at Arms to confirm that we have quorum. This is budget making. Sergeant at Arms, can you check whether there is quorum? Because I'm just seeing everybody, after they make request for statement, they just walk away. They think that is the most important aspect of business. That's not. Ordinarily, that is not even business. Do we have quorum? No? We don't have quorum? Yes, I guessed as much. You don't have? You know, the whips have forgotten their job. This is budget making. I can't put the question unless there is quorum. Is it true? Is it true now we have quorum? If they are walking, they are still walking out. No, but these are not whips. Can you ring the bell? Ring the bell for quorum. I will not put the question if we don't have quorum. This is budget. You see, some of them don't understand. They are even walking away still. This is a problem, I don't know.
Has ordered that the quorum bell be rung. At this particular juncture,
Now,
the House doesn't have the requisite number of members to allow for deliberations and passage of the report by the Honorable Kanini Kega's Budget Committee on Matters Budget. Sergeant at Arms assuring members of the National Assembly to the House to ensure that the House gets to pass that particular report by the Budget Committee. Pursuant to Standing Orders number 35 on matters quorum, subsection 2, a quorum when not present, the Speaker or the Chairperson shall cause the division bell to be rung, and if no quorum has been present at the expiry of 5 or 10 minutes, more time shall be given. The quorum has been achieved, and the House will continue with deliberations and consideration of the report by the Budget Committee.
Very well, honour members, we now have quorum. We now have quorum. We have the requisite quorum. The gracious ladies, three gracious ladies, honour members, I now put the question, which is that this House adopts a report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the budget estimates for the national government, the judiciary, and Parliament for the financial year 2021-2022, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, June 8th, 2021, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 221 of the Constitution, Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, and standing under 239A, approves the issuance of a sum of Kenya shillings 1,945,671,474,883 from the Consolidated Fund to meet the expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2022 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule to the order paper, subject to paragraph C, which is the Committee of Supply. B, makes a policy and financial resolutions contained in the second schedule to the order paper. And C, orders that the Speaker do now leave the chair to facilitate consideration of the said budget estimates with respect to each vote and programs in the Committee of Supply as contemplated under Standing Order 240. First and second schedule of the budget estimates as attached to the order paper. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 30 of 2021, second reading, resumption of debate.
Yeah, Honorable Sankok, what's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, it is usually in your culture to inform us when you have visitors. Yesterday and today I've seen visitors from the Speaker's gallery. And against your tradition, you have not informed us who are they, Honorable Speaker.
Very well, Honorable Sankok, it's good you have drawn the attention of the chair to the presence of persons whom you refer to as guests. These are new staff, members of staff who have been inducted, who joined the Parliamentary Service Commission. The first group was here yesterday. This is the second group. There will be other groups to follow. If the Senate was sitting, they could also have gone to also see how business is transacted, because they have joined the Parliamentary Service Commission, and they will work in both houses. They will serve both houses. So they're just acclimatizing. And they are welcome to observe the proceedings of the House. Who was on the floor? This one. I'm informed that the person who was on the floor is the Honorable Rachel Nyamai, member for Kitui South, and you have a balance of 6 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'd gone to the point last evening when I was talking about the Senate and also the counties being able to scrutinize the bills that are brought to them so that they do not pay for air or projects that were never implemented. This was in regard to the fact that they have been ordered to make payments, and Mr. Speaker, truth be told, that there are experts who are very good in doing very good paperwork, presenting for payment. So the counties need to be alive to this, and a case or a good example is an audit that was done in Kiambu County Assembly, where a bill of 80 million had been presented, but after scrutinizing, it ended up being only 19 million. You can see the difference, Honorable Speaker. So counties need to ensure that they do not pay for ghost projects, even as the order has been done. Honorable Speaker, I would like to go to my third point on distribution of projects in all wards. Mr. Speaker, this would have been done very well by BBI. I do not know whether it is coming back to life. I really hope that it will, because this BBI process and the product was going to give us a solution where Ward Development Fund is going to be established so that the governors in our counties do not put everything in places where there is high population, leaving out wards that do not have high population, or where a governor, as the case may be, looks at a place where he or she got a high number of votes and decides to concentrate on all their projects there. Mr. Speaker, equitable distribution of resources without caring where the vote went to during elections is a matter that needs to be looked into with regard to distribution of resources within our counties. Mr. Speaker, I would like also to talk about our exchequer releases. It is true that the country has been affected and that funds are dwindling down, but it is important to note that government needs to make an effort to ensure that money goes to the counties so that it doesn't become so fashionable for people to say that there is no money from the national government, there are no exchequer releases, so that as much as we know that there is a challenge of COVID, that the exchequer releases are done within possible timelines, make the highest possible effort. Mr. Speaker, with regard to devolution of health, most aspects of health has been devolved, apart from the international programs, which cut across all counties. I would like to say that this is a matter that needs to be taken very seriously. We come from counties where we have realized that there are dispensaries, health centers, and even hospitals where there are no adequate equipment and where there are no adequate drugs. This needs to be taken seriously. More so, Honorable Speaker, counties need to also be serious with focusing on health education and health promotion. This has come as a lesson during this COVID-19, where we have seen counties like Kisumu County, where they have to handle the matter of COVID-19, and also the other 11 counties, or other 10 counties that make a total of 11 that are affected by COVID. That health education needs to be taken very seriously, ensure that prevention of disease is funded, so that counties do not just focus on curative health and forget the importance of preventive health, which is the most important aspect within health. Honorable Speaker, water is devolved, and this opportunity has been given to the counties. During public participation in most of our counties, community members will say all they need is water, water, and this is a case of my county, and I believe that the governor for Kitui can take this also upon herself. She has tried to do boreholes, but this is a subject that needs to be taken seriously. What our community members need today is water, as opposed to many other projects. Honorable Speaker, I would like to go to declaration of funds that are collected. Most counties today only focus on money that is coming from national government, but we are aware that counties are collecting huge amounts of money. Most of the counties have reported diminishing revenues. I do not know whether it is because of capacity to collect or it is because of corruption. This is a matter that needs to be looked into, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also I would like to go to the matter of early childhood education. Education in this house will tell you that what a child sees within the first 4 years of life is extremely important to growth of the brains and also the attitude that they have for education. Early childhood education needs to be taken very seriously. Standardization of training, standardization of morale to the teachers who train early childhood education, standardization of payment so that we do not have demoralized early childhood educationists and leading to children who are demotivated from as early as 3 years. With those, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you.
Member for Embu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to speak on this motion on what we popularly call Askara. I think we had passed the formula, but I would want to say something extra about the formula that we are using. Basically, that particular formula still, to some extent, really favors the larger counties at the expense of those that are populated and small. Me in particular, coming from Vihiga, we come from a county that is small, but the population is very high. So possibly in future, we shall have to relook again at that formula with the insight of seeing that the people are the ones who are really getting the funding and not the population or just the poverty index. And again, even when we talk about the poverty index, then again, we need a proper evaluation of the poverty index throughout the country so that the records we are using, even if they are by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, are correct, and this will actually go along the way to benefit all the people, especially the masses where they are. So we go for the person instead of the geography and the size of the place. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, would be basically, yes, the money goes to the counties, but how do they use the money? For me, I think the counties still have to work very hard on issues of pilferage of the funds that they are given in terms of how they are able to monitor and oversight the monies that are given to them. To date, we still see many county projects given a lot of money, and yet they are unfinished, meaning that there's a lot of wastage. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, I would also wish to speak on what my immediate predecessor talked about in terms of speaking here. The fact that the county governors now, when you hear them speak, they would wish even to become cabinet secretaries. It is so sad because they feel the cabinet secretaries have more funding and more regular funding than themselves. And they are giving a spirit of almost giving up on running the county governance. They are looking at themselves as people who must continuously fight for them to get funds. In fact, when you look at our governors speak, their last chairman was Oparanya, and now there's another person. He always turns into a trade unionist. In fact, I noticed they are now competing us in the trade union in agitation. And that picture is not good for this country, because this is a level of government that actually needs funding and regular funding. So for me, is to call upon the central government and the executive and the treasury and the exchequer to actually fund the county governments. The history of county government in this country is old, and me, I'm blessed to be a historian and a teacher of history. They are the kind of units that we had before and were thrown away because people preferred centralization of resources. The centralization of resources ended up not being very good for the country because we were unable to distribute or to redistribute resources across the country. And only few areas were benefiting at the expense of others. So sometimes even when I see them misuse money, yes, I call upon proper use of money within the counties. But I even prefer when they are using the money well distributed in every far-flung corner of Kenya than when that money is centralized. I want to believe that the Treasury is not having any business of killing the county government just like they were killed immediately after independence. And that is the direction we should never take again. So let's deal with them where they are to use the money properly. But let's never dream about going back to the old system where we centralize the usage of money within the country, because that was not good for us. Honorable Speaker, finally, on the issue of how the county governments deal with some of their sectors, I'll only speak about one, and this is the vocational training sector. Formerly, this money was 2 billion to every county, and the money was ring-fenced so that it directly went to vocational training. When I talk about vocational training, I mean those polytechnics that are otherwise not covered under TVET and are not also covered by the ministry, and they are under the county government. But now, because they wrestled over how much will go to the county government and how much will remain in the central government, they decided to give part of that 2 billion as part of the revenue to the county government generally. So the risk we face is that those village polytechnics are going to die, because I see most of the governors going to put that money on other usage other than the real use, which was originally the vocational training at the village and the lowest level. Yet, when you look at the education system, CBC, we are now going the direction of TVET and vocational training. So this is an area which I wish the county governments, as I get this money and allocate themselves, they will actually still make sure that we don't kill the village polytechnics, which are very important to ourselves, leave alone the ECD, which has been spoken about. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, let the county governments be able, and let's get a mechanism on how the county governments can actually also give a report on what they collect and how they use them. There are a number of institutions in this country, including county governments, that don't want to declare their collections in form of taxes. The other group are the universities, but I'll speak about them later on, because they want more money and we want to give them money, yes. But they never want to declare how much they collect through what is called the parallel degree program. So let the county governments be oversighted to declare what they are collecting. Possibly this can go to the central pool, and then they are given back. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support.
Honorable Duale.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I take this opportunity to contribute to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2021, Senate Bill number 30 of 2021, which was read on 3rd of June 2021. Mr. Speaker, this is the bill that horizontally divides resources between counties, and is prepared under Article 217 and Article 218 of the Constitution. And this is a bill that allows the transfer of resources from the consolidated fund to the county treasury. Mr. Speaker, if you look at this bill, counties have been allocated 370 billion this year, this financial year, 2021, 2022, and they're supposed to share these 370 billion as equitable share between all counties. And you can see there's a growth, there's a nominal growth compared to last year of about 53 billion, translating to 16.9% compared to the 316 billion which they were given in 2020-2021 financial year. Mr. Speaker, the Senate, in its wisdom, has amended the schedule. It has removed the second schedule and substituted it with a new schedule. And this new schedule has increased the recurrent expenditure ceilings for county assemblies. And my interest was, why was this increased? It was increased from 33.2 billion in last financial year, this financial year ending, to 35.6 billion. And this is mainly one on the pending bills, which are before counties, and car grants for our colleagues who are in the county assemblies. And the same, there was no increment on the county executive. It remains unchanged, just like in the financial year. What are my submissions in as far as this bill is concerned? Mr. Speaker, let me first look at the high expenditure on personal emoluments, and I want the controller of budget to listen to me if she is watching, that, Mr. Speaker, the law is very clear. The PFM Act is very clear. Section 25, subsection 1B of the PFM Act, of the PFM Act, not Act, of the PFM County Government Regulation 2015 sets the limit of the county government expenditure on wages, salaries, and benefits at 35%. Mr. Speaker, as of today, county governments are at 52.9%. Mr. Speaker, we did not ask, Kenyans did not ask for a devolved system of government so that counties become employment bureaus. Kenyans asked for a devolved system of government in order to get closer access to water, access to health care, access to basic ECD education, access to roads. We did not ask for devolution so that governors can issue, and particularly now that they are about to go to elections, can issue letters of employment left, right, and center. And Mr. Speaker, the counties that are notorious, according to the report of the Controller of Budget, are counties like Baringo, Bungoma, Elgeyo Marakwet, Embu, Garissa, Isiolo, Kirinyaga, Kitui, Machakos, Meru, name them, about 25 of them, who have gone outside the ceiling. Outside the ceiling. I'm not saying Kajiado, so you better read the report of the county, of the Controller of Budget. You know, I don't want to read for you. Kajiado is not there. So they have gone outside. And the failure is on the part of the Controller of Budget. The law has given power. The Controller of Budget, under its own act, Section 5 of the Controller of Budget Act, salaries, and in fact read together with Article 207, subsection 3 of the Constitution, the Controller of Budget is to enforce compliance, to set the 35% limit by exercising her powers on withdrawal from the county revenue account. Unless the Controller of Budget has gone to bed with these governors. And Mr. Speaker, you know, when you see governors supporting BBI, it's not because they love BBI. When you see governors are doing this in terms of wages and violating the law, it's because they have compromised EACC. They have compromised the Control of Budget. They have compromised the officials of the Auditor General. This Constitution created certain institutions independent to protect the law and to protect public resources. So the Controller of Budget must make sure those counties that have gone overboard. Mr. Speaker, my second point is the low expenditure on development budget. Mr. Speaker, the Controller of Budget in her reports for the 9 months preceding this financial year 2020-21 said in her report that county government spent only 48 billion on development activities, representing an absorption level of 25%. Cumulatively, all the counties put together, they spent 193 billion. Section 107, subsection 2B of the PFM Act 2012, Mr. Speaker, this House passed, provides that over the medium and a minimum of 35% of county revenue must be spent on development. Speaker, work in our counties. There's nothing going. Maybe they have built an office for the governor. They have built an office, assembly for the county assembly. Nothing else. And I don't want to become a governor. Those counties with low absorption rates, development absorption rates, are notorious. Nairobi, Kisumu, Lamu, Baringo, Nakuru, Samburu, Garissa. My county is appearing everywhere. And the reason why we are appearing everywhere, because we elected a character who cannot fit to be a leader. And that's why the only money we get to him The only money we gave him, the World Bank, he's in court. Mr. Speaker, my third and final point is again the delay in the disbursement of the equitable share by the National Treasury. The National Treasury, Mr. Speaker, is killing devolution. Speaker, the exchequer of counties should reach their respective county revenue accounts as per the disbursement schedule approved by the Senate. The Minister for Finance has no choice. The schedule is approved by the Senate, the custodian of devolution. The minister must follow that schedule. And of course, he has not been following it. In the first 9 months of the financial year 2021, the National Treasury has disbursed a total of 158 billion to counties as an equitable share of revenue raised nationally, which accounts for 50.2% of the annual equitable share of revenue. The disbursed amount of revenue raised during that financial year should have been higher. So you don't give money. So what has happened? Today, if you go to counties, including mine, officers are not working. Vehicles are grounded. Garbage is not collected. Electricity bill has not been paid. Not because there's no money, because the National Treasury is not disbursing enough money for development. Now governors have gone to a situation where they want to eat M&E, operations money, the fuel, the flowers, money for newspapers, money for office rent, money for Kenya Power. They are not even remitting statutory deductions. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it's on pending bills. The minister cannot come to this house and ask for compliance. The house to give him. We can't give you powers. The minister must give money, and county governments and national governments must pay. These pending bills is part of the national debt. The money Chinese, we owe Chinese and other countries is the same money Kenyans owe this government. Yes, a debt is a debt. If this government can't pay the debt of our people, then why should they bother about paying the debt of China? Why should they pay Speaker? Because, Mr. Speaker, I went into a lot of pain. I said, what is a debt? There are Kenyans, I think the chair of budget will tell us, Kenyans are owed by county and national government close to 180 billion. Now, we are very much concerned about the debts that we owe IMF, World Bank, China. Why can't we first pay the debt we owe our people? Because if we pay our people, the economy will grow. Speaker, people are defying the instructions given by President Uhuru Kenyatta. In June, Madaraka Day in Narok, I was there. He said pending bills must be paid. Unless people working for the president doesn't want to follow his instructions, Mr. Speaker, pending bill is a cancer. It's affecting every village, every mamamboga. Let this government pay pending bills before we pay our debts to China and everybody else.
The Honorable Gikaria, member for Nakuru Town East.
He's not there. Are you going?
Very well. Not desiring to be in the house. The next on my list here is the Honorable Mugambi Gishuki, member for Thaya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill. As you know, we are devolving 370 billion to the county government. And Honorable Speaker, this is quite a substantial amount of money that we all need to see that it's put into proper use. Honorable Speaker, when you go around counties, you see a lot of wastage. You see a lot of projects, Honorable Speaker, started and not completed. Honorable Speaker, this happened to be a very risky year where everybody wants to start a project and live without care whether it will be completed or not. And this is the start and the beginning of all these pending bills, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we should have a framework where we are sure that nobody will begin a project without providing total funds for that project. Because anytime we just start a project because we can afford or we put aside 10% mobilization fee, after, Honorable Speaker, when the contractors do the work and they submit their certificates, there's no money to pay, Honorable Speaker. And this is how we are authoring the pending bills from the word go. Honorable Speaker, we must have a framework. We must guide our counties to ensure that the way they budget does not create these pending bills from the word go. Honorable Speaker, we know that the county assemblies should be able to monitor and to oversight the executive at the county level. But when you look at the capacity, Honorable Speaker, that some of those county assemblies have, they're not able, Honorable Speaker. And most of them actually get guidance on what to vote for, on what to do from the same executive. Honorable Speaker, we need to have a framework of strengthening oversight at the county level, Honorable Speaker. We either provide budget offices or offices that can give capacity, build capacity within the county assembly, so that county assemblies are properly equipped to oversight the executive, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we've been having this debate of degree which many members are taking so casually. But Honorable Speaker, when we talk about 370 billion, and then you just want to pick somebody on popularity basis just because he's able to go around every morning in all homes taking a cup of tea, and then you tell them to go and oversight 370 billion. Honorable Speaker, we are failing from the word go. And that is why this issue of the degree should be taken very seriously, so that the people we take to counties, the people we bring even to this parliament, Honorable Speaker, are able to understand their roles. They are able to take their job description, Honorable Speaker, seriously. And it's the only way we can make sure that we have value for money, Honorable Speaker. Because whether we give all the money from the exchequer, and then the money, those funds are wrongly applied, we'll never get value for our money, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when you also look at the expenditure we have at county at the current level, Honorable Speaker, it's worrying. It's worrying that first, the current expenditure being mainly salaries, it will always take precedent of development. And if we continue allocating the huge amount of funds devolved on only salaries, will not go far, Honorable Speaker. Some of these counties have been receiving extremely huge amounts of money. You look at a county getting 12 billion every year, and in 10 years they've gotten 120 billion. But you go on the ground, you can't see, Honorable Speaker, where this money has been applied. But Honorable Speaker, occasionally you see that the same funds are coming back to Nairobi and perhaps being invested in structures, Honorable Speaker, that do not relate to the counties, Honorable Speaker. So we are bleeding, Honorable Speaker, through counties because of poor oversight, because of poor application of funds. And if we want to go forward in this country, when we remember that some of the default functions are so critical for the well-being of this country, we must make sure that the funds at the county level are properly applied. Honorable Speaker, we have devolved agriculture, for instance. Agriculture is the backbone of this country. Almost over 60% of our economy is reliant on agriculture. And when we have devolved agriculture, and then the funds allocated in those areas are not properly applied, there is no way, Honorable Speaker, this country will go forward. There's no way, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, we request that even through this House, we strengthen the PFM Act to make sure that we have even stronger mechanism to guide and oversight the big funds that we are taking to the counties, Honorable Speaker. You know that even when we were pushing for BBI, we are pushing even to increase the funding to up to 35%, Honorable Speaker. And if we push more funds without better controls, then it means we are increasing wastage, Honorable Speaker. There is also one major role that has been involved, like environment. Environment, Honorable Speaker, is very critical in this country. But most counties do not take environment seriously. In some cases, we've been seeing some counties even hawking, Honorable Speaker, hawking garbage. In my county, we have had that practice where garbage is hawked from one constituency to another and to another one, because there's no proper plan. Yet there are funds to do those kind of functions. These are some of the very important functions that have been devolved but are not being taken seriously, Honorable Speaker, at county level. These function like environment. It's affecting our health. It's affecting our climate change. It's affecting so many areas, Honorable Speaker. Yet it's being taken and treated extremely casually in some counties. Honorable Speaker, we have to come with very strong framework to oversight the funds going to the county. And our brothers at the Senate level, we believe they should do much more to guide and to oversight the counties. And we hope going forward, the national government has done very well in terms of providing funds for pending bills. And we hope the county will also be pushed through the Senate to do the same. Honorable Speaker, remember this House had supported that any county that is not clearing pending bills, they do not get funds. And those funds can be released, should be released directly to those who are owed money, Honorable Speaker. The other day we looked at the report of pending bills, and only the county assemblies who forwarded their pending bills, but the executive did not, Honorable Speaker. And this is a matter that the Senate should follow and ensure the executive part of the counties also provide their pending bills, and they are pushed to clear them, Honorable Speaker. I beg to support.
The Honorable Sotsi.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill, which is very important, a bill allocating funds between the national government and our 47 counties. Mr. Speaker, just like has been said by other members, we have a lot of challenges in our counties. First of all, the issue of pending bills, which even in the budget that we are discussing, is one of the issues that has been raised to be a problem even to the national government. And I want to support the proposal by the Budget Committee that we need to have a fund domiciled at the Treasury to manage this challenge of pending bill. they have proposed that we have a long-term bond that will be used to manage the problem of pending bill. I think the same should be done to various county governments, because we understand there are various reasons why counties have pending bills. One of the reasons is when funds are disbursed late to the counties, and they have programs which they need to implement, and they are not able to implement those programs in time, then they end up having challenges of pending bill. But largely it's because of non-adherence to the law, particularly the Public Finance Management Act and the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, which some counties don't adhere to. The second challenge, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of disbursement, Mr. Speaker. We saw last night how some of our governors were making very desperate calls to the government to release money to them. Really, we must be very sympathetic to the governors, because how do you run counties without money? So I think in a way we have to relook at our laws in terms of releasing money, that we can even say the first charge on the exchequer should be the loans, the debts, but then the second charge should be release of the money to the counties, because they cannot run their programs successfully when funds are released to them very late. They plan, they have plans in place, but then those plans don't work because there is no money. The money comes late. When the money comes, maybe they have very short time to use that money. I think this is a very serious problem. And as Honorable Duale has said, the Office of the Controller of Budget, one of the functions of the Office of the Controller Budget is to monitor the programs and projects in the counties. I think they should be in a better position to advise the government on the issue of release of funds. We know one of the challenges could be maybe there is no exchequer. But when exchequer is found, I think it is very critical that county government must be given priority. Because in law, they are required to have the funds as required in law. Mr. Speaker, the other challenge we have in counties is oversight. As has been said by one of the members here, I think a lot needs to be done to improve the oversight function in the counties. We do not want just to hear about MCAs wanting to impeach governors. That's when you hear about them. We want effective oversight in the counties under the Senate. I think it's high time the Senate stop poking their holes in the functions of the National Assembly, and they focus on the many challenges that we have in our counties, including the challenge of pending bills. There are so many issues that the Senate can deal with. Sometimes I see the Senate handling issues which are primarily issues of the National Assembly, when we have a lot of issues that require the interrogation as a Senate. So oversight is really, really an issue on the management of counties, right from the county assembly to the Senate, which I think we need to look at it and strengthen the oversight. If it will require increasing the capacity, we need to increase their capacity so that they can perform. And as has been said by one of the members there, the issue of degree requirement, I think is important. We need to have people who can understand complex audit reports by the Auditor General so that they can raise questions. But, Mr. Speaker, if we have a situation where we have members of the county assembly whose only strength is that they were able to mobilize votes, but they can't even speak English, that they can even speak in vernacular. Mr. Speaker, that becomes a problem. So I think the issue of oversight is very key in the counties and is something that we must look at so that we can enhance devolution. Mr. Speaker, some of the counties have challenges in terms of the money allocated to them, what they spend on a recurrent expenditure, and what they remain to spend on capital projects. And I think some of these counties, if we are not careful, they may have challenges in future. That is why some of us were supporting BBI, because BBI was going to increase allocation from 15% to 35%. And some of these counties were voting devolution. They talk about devolution, but when it matters to strengthen devolution, they are not there to talk about devolution. Mr. Speaker, one of the other things that I found very critical in BBI is the issue of giving powers to Senate to oversight on source revenue. Also, instead of waiting like beggars for the county government, for the national government to send money to them. And I think this is one area that I fully support as one of the proposals in BBI, which I'm now saying that those who don't support BBI are not for devolution in this country. But those who support BBI are supporters of devolution in this country. Mr. Speaker, I support.
The Honorable Shamala. The Honorable Sankok, what is out of order? You wanted to have to add your voice to this?
No, he had mentioned me adversely that I don't support
that is okay.
people, but he was out of order because he cannot say that there is corruption in the counties and you want to increase money for corruption to happen in the counties at the same.
It is well. The Honorable Sankok.
Yes, sir.
Just take it easy.
Thank you, sir.
It's okay. The Honorable Shamala.
Should I? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the County Allocation Revenue Bill, Senate Bill 30 of 2021. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, Article 6 of the Constitution of Kenya entrenches the spirit of devolution by stating that the territory of Kenya is divided into counties. However, I am extremely concerned, especially when I heard yesterday from the chairman of the Budget and Appropriation Committee stating that county governments have not provided details and reports on pending bills. Indeed, as echoed by Honorable Dwale, some of these pending bills include 26.2 billion for the County Pensions Fund as at 31st December 2020, 14.57 billion for Local Authorities Pension Trust as at 30th November 2020. It is indeed true, and I want to reiterate, that this money belongs to the people of Kenya. And if the counties at a devolved unit cannot release this money into the economy, then indeed we are facing dire circumstances. I want to state, as Honorable Dwale said, that the President had ordered that these pending bills be released, and it is a matter of great and extreme concern, and it must be followed through and addressed immediately. With those few, of course, it is also extremely important that the oversight of the county governments must be a matter now of really national importance. Oversight by the MCAs, the members of the county assemblies, and the Senate. Because as the people of Kenya, they should be, the people of Kenya will be answerable to the people of Kenya. The members of the county assemblies, the senators who oversight these counties. And with those few remarks, I do support.
The Honorable Tuko Kwenya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this bill on county allocation of revenue. And from the onset, I want to state that I support the bill because this is going to make sure that our counties get their allocation for the coming financial year of about 370 billion from the National Treasury. And on the same, Mr. Speaker, on the same breath, I also want to recognize that there's so much that has been done by our county governments because we need to be a people who appreciate ourselves. At times we are so hard on ourselves, we don't want to see any good. And in fact, in the spirit of devolution, this is what we wanted to see. And as much as much needs to be done, we must appreciate that much has been done. And if the National Treasury was effective enough or kind enough to be disbursing money to the counties in time, I believe much more would have been achieved. In fact, the biggest impediment to development in our counties is not just county governors, because anyway, we have an oversight mechanism whereby county governors are supposed to be held to account to the county assemblies. Secondly, we have the Office of the Auditor General, where they're supposed to flag off issues of misappropriation. We have institutions like ethics and anti-corruption. We have all these institutions and Office of the, Controller of Budget, where they're supposed to work in tandem and in unison, so that then we see that our counties deliver as it is expected of them by our citizens. Mr. Speaker, this allocation of 370 billion is becoming a big debate. But we're also forgetting that our counties generate own income through the revenues that they collect through levies, licenses, and monies like that, of which is never seen to be accounted for. The public do not have a feel of the monies that they pay in terms of those levies. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, maybe Senate should come up with a mechanism whereby every county should publish the kind of monies that they collect. We have had some inefficient systems of manual collection of revenue through sales and revenue and levies that are collected from our farmers, from the production that come from the counties, especially sand, stones, and such kind of things. And the monies are collected manually. So that there is likelihood of pilferage or loss of such revenues, and it's a lot of money. If that money is put into to the rightful use, then it can supplement or complement the monies that they're getting from the exchequer. Mr. Speaker, our county governors must be tasked to account for the monies that they are receiving. And in accounting, budget making process should be a priority, and the priority of the Senate, even as they oversight our counties. Because you find that our governors or the executive in the county government are allocating so much money for what I would call social handouts, and in the name of social welfare. You envisage, or you see in the Constitution, the drafters of the Constitution envisaged a situation whereby the government would come in handy, according to Article 43 of the Constitution, to empower people or to bring about economic, social rights. But now what the county governments are doing, they're doing handouts that are really going to, maybe with a focus of winning the citizenry for them to vote for them in the coming elections. We cannot have our tax money being given out to buy blankets, mattresses, at will, even when there is no need to do that. Because as opposed to these handouts, or because they're just handouts of foodstuffs, of gas and gas cylinders and stuff, we should have a situation whereby the county governments are empowering our people economically, so that then they can produce and be in a position to procure the blankets and the gas cylinders and things like that, as opposed to the handouts that they're giving, so that then we do not get value for our money. Mr. Speaker, Article 43 talks of social rights. And one of the social rights and economic right is the issue of health, access to health. Our county government must be seen to be investing heavily in matters health. You walk into our health centers, all you see is, all you get there cheap medicine, that's painkillers, there are no doctors, there are no sufficient nurses. You go to down to our county governments, the issue of water is a big issue. Nobody is investing in such programs that are for posterity, as opposed to what I have just said. And therefore, we would want to see our county governments investing more in investments that are for posterity. Mr. Speaker, we have also had issues with our county governments procuring outside PFMA, outside PPDA, that is Public Procurement and Disposal Act, because we cannot have institutions procuring beyond their budgets as envisaged in the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. Therefore, in accordance with the call by the President, our President, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, that every procurement be done above board and be a procurement so that then there's no much of human interaction. That will ensure, and I hope that we're going to have an ICT system whereby if procurement is done beyond what is allocated in the budget, then there's a lockdown so that then you cannot procure at all beyond what is envisaged in the budget that is approved by the Director General for budget. Mr. Speaker, I also want to speak on the issue of releases to counties in time. As I had said before, you realize that so much delays that are occasioned by the Treasury, because they give priority to the ministries and departments that are within the national government. But our county governments are left at the mercy of the Treasury and begging, whereas they should be getting the first priority. The surest form of devolution, if we are to spur growth and economic development, then it must be at the county level. Because once the county government start doing projects at the county level, the contractors are local. That means that money will have a ripple down effect to the people. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on physical planning, you realize that our cities or our towns are growing tremendously because of devolution. But in terms of physical planning, you find that the county governments do not have or are not building capacity so that then they can be able to deal with the growth that is happening within our county government or within our towns. I would give an example of 2 towns in my constituency, Kinangop. One is called Engineer Town, another one is called Jabini Town. These are towns that are growing tremendously. But you find that the government or the county government is not investing in terms of planning how sewer is going to be taken care of, in increasing water capacity. There are no play fields, markets, such kind of things. And I think it's just about time that we find in these budgets that are done by the county government a situation whereby they are doing some level of expansion of such facilities or amenities, so that then they can be able to deal with the growth that is happening within those towns. Finally, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, when he was re-elected for the second time, he spoke of the Big Four agenda. That is, and on top of it was the issue of manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, we would want to see our county governments putting money into some of these issues to do with manufacturing, building factories in our constituencies and in our sub-counties. We have seen a situation whereby in Ghana, a country like Ghana, for example, they came up with a policy, one factory, per district. And that is what they are doing, they're implementing that. And that is going to deal a blow on the issue of unemployment, the issue of increasing the ability of our people to do what they're supposed to do, I mean, in terms of their personal growth. Because once we have these factories at the level of sub-counties, then we are saying that we are not going to sell our produce, we are going to sell products in the near future. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support and I pray that we see prudence in the utilization of these funds. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Ali Athman, member for Lamu East.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kuungana na wenzangu kuunga mkono huu mswada ambao uko mbele yetu kuhusiana na ugawi wa pesa ambazo zinaenda kwa serikali za kaunti. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kweli Wakenya mwaka 2010 walisimama kidete kuhakikisha kwamba wamepitisha katiba ambao zitakuwa na serikali za counties. Mheshimiwa Spika, kutokana na hilo matarajio ya Wakenya yalikuwa ni mengi sana. Miongoni mwao ni kuona ya kwamba huduma zimeweza wafikia kule mashinani na kuhakikisha kwamba usawa umepatikana na kuhakikisha kwamba wamefurahia na zile huduma katika nchi hii ambazo zilikuwa zifike kwa kila hizi sehemu ambazo ziliweza kugawanywa sehemu 47 katika nchi hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile vile ni jambo muhimu sana na ni jambo ambalo lahitaji kuzingatiwa ya kwamba zile fedha ambazo zinaenda katika serikali hizi za county ni fedha ambazo zahitaji kuwahudumia wananchi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini kwa masikitiko makubwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeweza kushuhudia kwa takriban hivi sasa awamu ya pili kuanzia serikali hizi zianze shughuli zake kwamba kumekuwa na matatizo mengi sana, Mheshimiwa Spika, hususan katika zile hali za uongozi ambao unapatikana katika sehemu hizi. Mbali ya furaha ya Wakenya kutaka serikali za county ziwe zinafanya kazi ama kutaka serikali ya kitaifa iweke serikali za county kwa kila sehemu 47 hizi ambazo zipo, Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini yale yanayoshuhudiwa hivi sasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, imekuwa ni matatizo mengi sana katika serikali hizi za county, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na ukweli ni kwamba Wakenya wanahitaji huduma, Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini yale madhila na mateso ambayo yanaonekana hivi sasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, yanasikitisha sana, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mfano utapata kwamba, Mheshimiwa Spika, wafanyikazi wa county saa nyingine inafika hadi miezi 3-4 hawajalipwa hizi fedha, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na pengine niseme tatizo hili mara nyingi huwa linaambatana na kutokana na kuchelewa kulipwa hizi fedha, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hizi serikali. Lakini mbali ya hayo, Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka tukumbuke ya kwamba haya yote yalifanyika kwa sababu ya kusawazisha na kwa sababu ya kuweza kuinua na kuendeleza uchumi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini yanapopatikana haya, Mheshimiwa Spika, huwa ni jambo la kusikitisha sana. Utapata kwamba kama nilivyosema, wafanyikazi wanateseka. Utapata ya kwamba pengine mtu ameweza kufanya kazi yake, ameweza kufanya kazi ambayo labda pengine amepewa na hizi counties, na pengine ameweza kuchukua mikopo benki kwa sababu ya kufanya kazi hizi, lakini utapata ya kwamba pesa hizi anaweza kuzipata baada ya mwaka mmoja ama miaka miwili, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kutokana na hayo, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni vyema bunge hili na bunge la seneti na hata wale wajumbe ambao wako kule counties kuhakikisha kwamba mwongozo huu na mwelekeo huu unaendeshwa kwa namna unavyotakikana, kwa namna Wakenya wanavyofurahia, Mheshimiwa Spika. Vile vile ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kuiambia serikali ya kitaifa kuhakikisha kwamba hali hizi za kuweza kuchelewesha hizi fedha ambazo zinapangiwa katika serikali hizi za kaunti, wajaribu kuhakikisha kwamba ni mambo ambayo yanaweza kuwekwa katika njia ya usawa, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu yanapotokezea haya, Mheshimiwa Spika, ndipo yale matatizo yote ambayo tunayozungumza hapa kuhusiana na mambo ambayo yanapatikana ndio yale ambayo hivi sasa wengi wameweza kuyazungumza, ya kwamba utapata kwamba uchafu umedorora katika counties nyingi, utapata ya kwamba huduma nyingi hazifanyiki, na hivi sasa kama sijakosea, Mheshimiwa Spika, counties wamepeana ilani ya kwamba ifikapo tarehe 24 mwezi huu basi watasitisha huduma zao zote. Hili ni kutokana na kwamba serikali ya kitaifa bado haijawapelekea ule mgao wao ambao ulikuwa umestahili kupelekewa katika ile bajeti ya mwaka 2020 na 2021. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kweli kuna umuhimu mkubwa sana ya kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wamefurahia na huduma ambazo zinapatikana katika serikali zote mbili. Mheshimiwa Spika, wale wanaongoza katika serikali hizi mbili wahakikisha kwamba Wakenya wameweza kufurahia na huduma hizo na kuhakikisha kwamba wameweza kuwajibika na kazi zao, Mheshimiwa Spika, na kuhakikisha kwamba wameweza kuonyesha uongozi mzuri, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa sababu, Mheshimiwa Spika, nafikiri haitokuwa ni jambo la busara tusimame hapa leo tuanze kulaumiana, kwa sababu dunia hii hakuna ambaye ni mkamilifu, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mkamilifu ni Mwenyezi Mungu peke yake, Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini unapochukua majukumu na kuchukua kiapo cha kuhakikisha kwamba umekubali kuchukua wadhifa yule ambao unaopewa kama kiongozi, basi ni jambo la busara kuhakikisha ya kwamba umeweza kutekeleza yale ambao ni ya usawa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, matatizo ni mengi ambayo yako katika serikali hizi za counties, na ukweli ni kwamba kuna dharura na kunahitajika pakubwa kuweza kuyarekebisha matatizo haya. Tukianza kwanza na kuhakikisha ya kwamba migao hii ambayo tunaweza inagawanywa kila mwaka kwa serikali hizi za county, kuhakikisha kwamba imeweza kufikishwa katika kila county kwa wakati unaofaa bila ya kucheleweshwa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Vile vile wale wahusika ambao wanasimamia fedha hizi katika sehemu hizo ni wahakikishe ya kwamba wameweza kupeana ama kutekeleza zile huduma zinazohitajika, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa namna inavyofaa na namna inavyotakikana, Mheshimiwa Spika. Vile vile wafanyikazi ama tuseme, Mheshimiwa Spika, swala zima la siasa katika sehemu hizi, utapata kwamba, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna malalamishi pia katika counties nyingi. Utapata ya kwamba wale ambao ni wahusika wakuu zaidi wanatembea kisiasa badala ya kutembea kiuongozi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Ninavyofahamu mimi ya kwamba yeyote ambaye ametoka katika kaunti ile na anastahili kupewa labda kazi ambao anaweza kuifanya katika sehemu ile, haimaanishi kwamba labda pengine awe ni mtu wako kisiasa ama awe si mtu wako kisiasa, Mheshimiwa Spika. La msingi ikiwa anastahili kupata kazi ile, basi ni sawa wale wahusika waweze kuchukua fursa hizi, Mheshimiwa Spika, na kufanya usawa katika kuendeleza mambo kama haya, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa haya machache, Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa tu zaidi kuhimiza serikali ya kitaifa kuhakikisha kwamba matatizo haya hayapatikani, kwa sababu yanapotokezea mambo kama haya, Mheshimiwa Spika, ndiposa zile shida nyingi ambazo utaziona zinajitokeza katika counties na lawama zinakuwa nyingi na ule uchumi unaanza kuleta shida katika sehemu zile, kwa sababu zile fedha huwa hazijakuwa na utaratibu ama zinapokuwa hazijafika katika sehemu hiyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, basi ni wengi ambao wanapata matatizo na wanapata shida sana kutokana na hali hii. Kwa haya machache, Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono mswada huu na kuhakikisha kwamba hili limeweza kutekelezwa kwa njia inayostahili, Mheshimiwa Spika. Asante.
The Honorable Ole Sankok, you're on this list, but we had already spoken to this. Yes. So I'll give to the next one, and that is the Honorable Martin Owino, member for Ndiwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to say I rise to support this bill, County Allocation Revenue Bill number 30, 2021. Mr. Speaker, I'm a supporter of devolution, and I believe as a house we have to put all the efforts required so that we can have our devolution thrive, both addressing issues at the county level and also at the national level. Mr. Speaker, one area which I'm really passionate with is health. And I think even if we give the counties money or they generate money from facilities, there was an order which was very efficient. And Dr. Nyikal really participated in authored this Facility Improvement Fund. The Speaker, that means only that the funds have to be generated in the facilities for service, and those funds were retained in the facilities in order to provide and improve infrastructure and others so that the facility can be afloat financially. But there was a circular, Mr. Speaker, that came and removed those, meaning that those facilities in A&A now goes to the county revenues account and then reauthorized to be used. And when they go there, Mr. Speaker, they get swallowed up in the budgeting. And they can only now be given money back as budget, which actually never come back in time. Right now, Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, all health workers in my county have down the tools. Some people are even being removed from the wards because there are no personnel. The Speaker, on that vein, there were some facilities which were taken and made COVID-19 treatment centers. That means all the services which they were doing, including delivery and others, which used to generate income to those facilities, vanished. The Speaker, those facilities are not even paying now their utilities, not even support staff. So those facilities are dead. And you can imagine how people are suffering. The Speaker, talking about this bill, I want also to add my voice to this pending bill. Mr. Speaker, this pending bill, which is being talked about, has become another animal to defraud Kenyans. There's no pending bill. If we are doing program-based budget, meaning you put a program or an intervention and you allocate funds for it. So what is happening here is that the Treasury is not disbursing money to the counties. So we should talk of money being owed to the counties in another way. But now, if we don't disburse money efficiently, on time, these contractors who have done their work bring litigations. So we have other money accruing on top of what was supposed to be paid for a program. Now, if you lump it and you get to pay them like that, that is where one member here said, instead of 90-something, it came back to 40s. It's another vehicle which we are going to lose money through. And I urge this House to look into that very carefully, Mr. Speaker. The other issue is, Mr. Speaker, there is a disconnect between some of the funding for the counties and also national obligations. For example, Mr. Speaker, the disasters, the fires, the floods, and all the food insecurity are left for the counties because agriculture is devolved. But there is no sufficient money allocated to this. I think I'm preaching to the choir here because the members of parliament are really struggling when it comes to disaster. They expect you to respond with your CDF, and you don't see any effort from the counties because they don't have adequate allocation of this. Mr. Speaker, I don't know, we talked about disaster management bill. I don't know where that is, but I think this should be centralized so that we have a proper response. The Speaker was watching television and I saw how the land was moving underneath some houses, I think in the coastal region. And it's very painful because the victims are alone. The county government would like to respond, but there are no resources. How do they do it? The national government response is not clear, it's not streamlined. And we cannot respond to disasters from Nairobi to all counties. So there's a disconnect even in funding. I think there's a gap, Mr. Speaker, that this House should look into. The other disconnect is, and the safe fly, Mr. Speaker, is a menace which cuts across many counties, from Lambwe Valley to Mbeere North and South, and many other areas in Western area. Mr. Speaker, today, as we speak, we lose 20 billion of economical nature because of the mortalities of livestock, the drugs that are used. And but I thank Kentech, which has been dismally funded to do this job. Mr. Speaker, to date, we have just allocated 180 million for Kentech. And I've just compared with the loss which incur every year, 20 billion. This is a livelihood of our Kenyans, which could have done better if the proper intervention of this fly was done. To me, if we allocate this money, 180 million now, that's what we are appropriating here, that it means then it's kind of a national government funding the Kentech to do the work. Then the counties will have no response. And this fly continue to ravage the livelihood of many Kenyans. So what I'm trying to say, as much as we push activities to counties, there are some funding gaps that negates those activities. And Mr. Speaker, I think that should be looked into in perspective so that we have good funding. In fact, the Ministry of Agriculture had recommended we appropriate or allocate 710 million to cater for research and interventions. And I just see 180. I think, I don't know whether it's possible in the Committee of Supply, look into this item and make sure that the livelihood of the farmers in this region are also considered. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support, and let's continue to support devolution. That is the only way to go as we usher in efficiency and effectiveness. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Koi Waluke, member for Sirisia.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not ready. Yeah.
Very well, very well. We will now have the Honorable Shaban Namsi, member for Taveta.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia fursa hii, nami pia nizungumzie mjadala huu ambao ni kuhusu sheria ya ugavi wa pesa kwa maeneo 47 ya ugatuzi. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukweli ni kwamba Wakenya walifurahikia sana jambo hili la ugatuzi. Lakini vile vile muda unavyoenda kukawa kuwa pesa kwanza zikifika zinafujwa, pili pesa hazifiki kwa wakati unaofaa, na tatu mara nyingine wanavuka mwaka pesa zote hazijafika kwenye maeneo ya ugatuzi. Mheshimiwa Spika, wenzangu wote wengi wamependa kuzungumzia masuala ya wanakandarasi ambao wanadai serikali za ugatuzi kila mahali hapa nchini, hata serikali kuu pia nayo inadaiwa kulingana na vile ambavyo kazi zinavyo utendaji kazi wa wanakandarasi na pesa kucheleweshwa kuwafikia. Mheshimiwa Spika, kilio kipo kila mahali na kilio kikubwa haswa ni wafanyikazi wa eneo za ugatuzi karibu ya kila mahali wanalia kuwa mishahara haijalipwa kwa muda mrefu. Mheshimiwa Spika, hawa watu